In the shadow of the Ural Mountains, Dr. Ji-Woo Kim hunched over her workstation, her eyes fixed on data streams most would find incomprehensible. Outside, snow piled against the research facility's reinforced windows, but inside, the air hummed with expectation. 3 years of her life had disappeared into this project, a revolutionary approach to antimatter containment that her colleagues had dismissed as theoretical fantasy. "Running final simulation now," she announced to the small team gathered around her. The holographic display pulsed with light as equations resolved themselves into a stable pattern. Min-Ho Kang, her assistant, leaned forward. "The containment field is holding at room temperature. That's impossible." His voice carried both disbelief and excitement. "Not impossible, just previously undiscovered." Ji-Woo allowed herself a small smile. For decades, every spacefaring species known to exist had approached antimatter containment the same way: massive cooling arrays and energy-intensive magnetic fields. The approach worked but remained incredibly inefficient, making antimatter drives a luxury few could afford. Ji-Woo had taken a different path. Rather than fighting against quantum fluctuations in the containment field, her design incorporated them into a self-stabilizing pattern. The beauty was in its simplicity. "We need to inform Director Tadwan," Min-Ho said, already reaching for his communicator. Ji-Woo nodded. "Tell him we're ready for physical testing." 3 days later, the first prototype antimatter reactor sat in the center of the underground testing chamber. It was surprisingly small, no larger than an old-fashioned refrigerator. The observation deck buzzed with scientists and government officials. Director Tadwan Choi stood beside Ji-Woo, his normally stern expression softened by anticipation. "The Defense Ministry is watching this test very closely, Doctor. They've already begun drafting plans for application in our space fleet. Let's make sure it works first," Ji-Woo replied, though she felt confident. The simulations had been perfect. At her signal, Min-Ho initiated the startup sequence. The reactor hummed softly as power flowed through its systems. On the monitoring screens, energy readings climbed steadily. "Initiating matter-antimatter reaction," Min-Ho announced. Everyone held their breath. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a soft blue glow emanated from the reactor's core. The energy output meters jumped dramatically, then stabilized at levels far exceeding their expectations. "My God," whispered Director Tadwan. "It's working." Ji-Woo checked the readouts. "Containment field is stable. Temperature remains consistent. Power output at 97% efficiency." She turned to the director. "We did it." Word spread quickly. Within weeks, the first antimatter engine was being assembled in a secure facility near Seoul. Governments worldwide rushed to form partnerships with South Korea's suddenly vital space program. The dream of efficient interstellar travel had suddenly become possible. What humanity didn't know was that they weren't alone in noticing the breakthrough. 200 million kilometers from Earth, the Confederation scout ship Vigilant Observer detected unusual energy patterns from the third planet in the system it was surveying. The ship's science officer, a tall, ridge-backed being named Trelk, brought the readings to his captain's attention. "This energy signature is consistent with antimatter reactions, Captain, but it lacks the typical radiation bloom we'd expect." Captain Rovlik, a veteran of countless survey missions, clicked her mandibles thoughtfully. "Are you certain it's antimatter technology? These primitives were still burning fossil fuels when we last checked." "Absolutely certain," Trelk confirmed. "But there's something unusual about their containment method. It's elegant, efficient beyond anything in our database." Captain Rovlik rose from her command chair. The humans had been considered a Level 2 civilization, technologically advancing, but at least a century from achieving practical interstellar travel. This development would force a reassessment. "Send a full report to Confederation Command. Priority channel." She paused, staring at the blue-green planet on the view screen. "And maintain our distance. I want continuous monitoring of their activities." Back on Earth, the first antimatter-powered ship prepared for its maiden voyage. The UES Prometheus, sleek and surprisingly compact compared to theoretical designs from the previous decade, represented humanity's greatest achievement. Its captain, Han Sol-Park, stood on the bridge as final preparations were completed. "All systems check out, Captain," reported his chief engineer, Sun Mayun. "The antimatter drive is performing even better than expected. We could make it to Mars in days rather than months." Han Sol nodded. "Let's not get ahead of ourselves. We follow the mission plan: low Earth orbit, then a controlled burn to lunar distance." The Prometheus lifted off from its launch platform, conventional thrusters carrying it to a safe distance before the antimatter drive engaged. When it did, the acceleration was smooth and powerful, pushing the ship forward with seemingly impossible efficiency. In orbit, Han Sol allowed himself a moment of pride as Earth grew smaller beneath them. "Prepare for main engine test," he ordered. "The antimatter drive engage." The stars seemed to stretch as the Prometheus achieved velocities that would have been unthinkable months earlier. Unknown to the crew, their ship's energy signature triggered alarms throughout the Confederation's monitoring network. Emergency sessions were called. Analysts debated how humans had achieved such an advance so quickly. In the highest levels of the Confederation Council, the news caused serious concern. Councillor Drevik of the Kreth Dominion pounded his fist on the table. "We cannot allow this to continue. These humans have bypassed centuries of gradual development. Their antimatter technology is superior to our own, and they are notoriously unpredictable." The Brevery representative, Ambassador Pello, counseled patience. "We should make contact, learn more before we take any action." After heated debate, the Council reached a decision. A diplomatic mission would be sent to Earth. If humans proved peaceful, they would be welcomed into the galactic community. If not, containment protocols would be implemented. As the Confederation debated, more antimatter ships joined the Prometheus. A small fleet assembled in Earth orbit, each vessel more advanced than the last. Dr. Ji-Woo Kim continued to refine her designs, unaware that her breakthrough had caught the attention of the stars. The first sign of what was coming appeared as an anomalous reading on deep space scanners. Something large was approaching the solar system, moving with purpose. Humanity was about to discover it wasn't alone. And the galaxy was about to discover that humans were far more capable than anyone had imagined. The Brevery ship emerged from faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. It was enormous, nearly 2 kilometers long, with smooth, curved surfaces that shimmered with an iridescent blue-green hue. Ambassador Pello stood on the command deck, watching the small blue planet grow larger on the view screen. "Approach slowly," he instructed the pilot. "We don't want to appear threatening." Earth's defense systems detected the alien vessel immediately. Alarms sounded across military installations worldwide. In the Space Defense Command Center beneath Seoul, Admiral Suho Lee assessed the incoming data with remarkable calm. "It's not accelerating," he noted, "and it's broadcasting some kind of signal on multiple frequencies." His communications officer looked up. "Sir, I think they're trying to talk to us." When the UES Prometheus received orders to intercept the alien vessel, Captain Han Sol-Park felt a mixture of excitement and dread. His ship was the fastest in Earth's small fleet, but it wasn't designed for combat. If these visitors had hostile intentions, the Prometheus would be hopelessly outmatched. "Set course to intercept," he ordered, "but maintain a safe distance. All sensors at maximum." As the Prometheus approached the massive alien ship, the communications array chimed. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission. It appears to be a greeting, in multiple Earth languages." Han Sol straightened his uniform. "Put it on screen." The view screen flickered, then displayed a humanoid figure with pale blue skin and large expressive eyes. When it spoke, its mouth movements didn't quite match the words. "Greetings, people of Earth. I am Ambassador Pello of the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace and friendship, seeking dialogue with your world." Within hours, the news of first contact spread globally. People gathered around screens, religious leaders offered prayers, and governments scrambled to form a unified response. Admiral Lee was appointed Earth's interim representative. "Captain Park," he said over a secure channel, "you'll serve as our initial contact. The Prometheus will host the first face-to-face meeting. We're sending a diplomatic team to join you." Han Sol felt the weight of history settling on his shoulders. "Understood, Admiral." The meeting took place in the Prometheus's conference room. Ambassador Pello entered with 2 assistants, their movements graceful despite the ship's artificial gravity. Han Sol noticed they wore no visible weapons. "Thank you for your welcome, Captain Park," Pello said, bowing slightly. "The Confederation has observed your world for some time, but recent developments have accelerated our timetable for contact." "What developments?" Han Sol asked. Pello's large eyes blinked slowly. "Your antimatter technology. It is unexpectedly advanced. Most species require centuries to develop stable antimatter containment. You achieved it remarkably quickly." Dr. Ji-Woo Kim, who had been added to the diplomatic team at the last minute, stepped forward. "The principles aren't that complex once you approach the problem differently." Pello turned toward her. "You are the creator of this technology." Ji-Woo nodded. "One of them, yes." "Fascinating." Pello's translator couldn't quite capture the mix of emotions in his voice. Respect, curiosity, and something else. Concern, perhaps. The initial meeting lasted 3 hours, covering basics about the Confederation, a loose alliance of 27 spacefaring species that maintained peace and regulated technology sharing across 5 spiral arms of the galaxy. Pello explained that Earth would be invited to join as a probationary member. As the Breverie delegation departed, Han Sol turned to Ji-Woo. "What do you think?" She frowned slightly. "They're worried about us. Did you notice how many questions focused on our antimatter engines? They're trying to understand how advanced we really are." Back on the Breverie ship, Ambassador Pello composed his report to the Confederation Council. His fingers hovered over the terminal as he carefully chose his words. "The humans have achieved a fundamental breakthrough in antimatter physics. Their containment method is not just efficient, it represents an entirely new approach. Most concerning is the size of their drives. Where our ships require massive engineering sections for antimatter containment, human vessels dedicate minimal space to these systems." He paused, then added, "I recommend caution in our dealings with Earth. Their technological growth rate exceeds all predictive models. If this trajectory continues, they could surpass several Confederation species within decades rather than centuries." What Ambassador Pello didn't include in his official report was the private conversation he'd had with representatives from the Kreth Dominion before departing for Earth. The Kreth, a militaristic species that held significant power within the Confederation, had made their position clear. If humans posed a potential threat, containment protocols should be implemented immediately. On Earth, Admiral Suho Lee met with world leaders to discuss the implications of first contact. In a secure bunker beneath the Pacific Ocean, he revealed information the public didn't know. "We've been tracking unusual activity in the outer solar system for weeks. The Breverie ship didn't come alone. There are at least 3 other vessels maintaining position beyond Neptune's orbit." "Reinforcements?" asked the American president. "Or different factions," Lee replied. Ambassador Pello mentioned the Confederation has multiple species. They may not all agree on how to approach us. He activated a holographic display showing Earth's small but growing fleet of antimatter ships. "Meanwhile, I've accelerated our shipbuilding program. The new drive systems require less material and time to construct. We've launched 8 vessels in the past month alone." "Are we preparing for war, Admiral?" The question came from the South Korean president, her face grave. "No, Madam President, but I believe in negotiating from a position of strength." Unknown to Earth's leaders, Admiral Lee had already initiated a classified program called Distant Horizon. While the diplomatic team engaged with the Breverie, 3 antimatter ships had slipped away from Earth, their drives modified to emit minimal energy signatures. Their mission: to explore beyond the solar system and establish hidden outposts. If negotiations failed, humanity would have footholds among the stars. On the sixth day of diplomatic exchanges, the conversations took an unexpected turn. Ambassador Pello requested a private meeting with Captain Park. "I must speak frankly," the ambassador said once they were alone. "Not all members of the Confederation welcome your rapid advancement. The Kreth Dominion particularly sees Earth as a potential disruption to galactic stability." Hansol's expression remained neutral, though his pulse quickened. "Are you warning us of something, Ambassador?" Pello's large eyes closed briefly. "Let us say I believe in fair treatment for emerging civilizations. The Kreth believe in preserving the existing order, by force if necessary." As Pello spoke, a Kreth battle fleet was already moving into position, hidden behind Jupiter's massive bulk. Their orders: assess Earth's defenses and prepare for containment operations if diplomatic efforts fail to secure restrictions on human antimatter technology. The pieces were moving into place. Humanity's first steps into a larger universe would not be easy ones. The warning came in the middle of Earth's night. Captain Hansol Park was jolted awake by an urgent communication from the Prometheus's bridge. "Captain, Ambassador Pello is requesting emergency transport. His message is marked highest priority." Within minutes, Hansol stood in the ship's transporter bay as the ambassador materialized. Pello looked disheveled, his normally immaculate robes wrinkled, and his blue skin pale with stress. "Captain, you must warn your people immediately," Pello said, his voice trembling. "The Kreth Dominion has overruled the Confederation Council. Their fleet has entered your solar system, with orders to neutralize Earth's antimatter capabilities." Hansol felt ice in his veins. "How much time do we have?" "Hours, perhaps less. Their dreadnoughts are positioning behind your gas giant Jupiter. 12 warships, including their flagship, the inevitable Dominance." Hansol didn't waste time asking why. He activated his emergency communicator. "This is Captain Park to Admiral Lee. Code Black. I repeat, Code Black. Confederation hostiles inbound." As alarms sounded throughout Earth's defense network, the Prometheus broke orbit, accelerating to maximum speed. Their mission was clear: reach Earth before the Kreth. Deliver Pello and his critical intelligence about the enemy fleet. On Earth, Admiral Suho Lee activated the Emergency Defense Protocol. Cities worldwide implemented blackout conditions. Civilians moved to underground shelters. Military bases hummed with activity as Earth's small fleet of antimatter ships prepared for battle. In his command center, Admiral Lee studied the tactical display. 7 operational vessels against 12 Kreth warships. And their technology is still centuries ahead of ours in most areas. His second-in-command, Commander Jae-young Ba, looked grim. "The UES Valkyrie is our only combat-ready ship with the upgraded antimatter drive. The others are either training vessels or retrofitted science ships. Then we make the most of what we have," Lee said firmly. "Order the Valkyrie and her sister ships to take up defensive positions around the moon. The Prometheus is bringing us intelligence. We need to buy them time to reach us." The Kreth fleet emerged from behind Jupiter with terrifying speed. Their warships were angular, with sharp predatory lines that contrasted with the Brevari's rounded designs. Energy readings showed weapons powering up. On the bridge of the inevitable Dominance, Fleet Commander Zorth surveyed the approaching human solar system with contempt. "Primitive defenses," he noted to his subordinates. "They've concentrated their ships near their moon. Predictable." His tactical officer nodded. "Their vessels are small, minimally armed. This will be a simple containment operation." Zorth bared his teeth in what passed for a smile among the Kreth. "Signal the fleet. Full advance. Target their antimatter facilities first, then their orbital defenses." The Kreth fleet moved in perfect formation, their faster-than-light drives allowing them to cross the vast distance to Earth in mere hours. They expected minimal resistance from what they considered a barely spacefaring civilization. They were wrong. The UEA's Valkyrie, under the command of Captain Mirasong, waited behind the moon. Unlike Earth's other ships, the Valkyrie had been designed specifically for combat, incorporating everything humanity had learned about advanced propulsion and weapons technology in the brief time since Dr. Kim's breakthrough. "Enemy fleet approaching," reported the Valkyrie's sensor operator. 12 vessels, heavy armaments. Mireille tightened her grip on the command chair. "Are they detecting us?" "Negative, Captain. Our signature dampening is working." Mireille nodded. The Kreth, like most Confederation species, relied on detecting the massive energy signatures of traditional antimatter drives. Human drives, with their unique containment method, could be tuned to emit almost no detectable radiation until fully activated. "Wait until they pass the lunar orbit," Mireille ordered. "Then we strike from behind." The trap was sprung perfectly. As the Kreth fleet moved past the moon toward Earth, the Valkyrie and 3 sister ships powered up their antimatter drives simultaneously and accelerated from hiding. Their speed was unprecedented, closing the distance to the rear of the Kreth formation before the aliens could react. Targeted energy weapons struck the engines of 2 Kreth vessels, disabling them instantly. The human ships then executed a maneuver no Confederation tactical computer had predicted possible, a high-speed slash through the Kreth formation that scattered their carefully planned attack. Aboard the inevitable Dominance, alarms blared as sensors registered the sudden attack. "Impossible!" Zorth roared. "Where did they come from? How are they moving so fast?" His tactical officer struggled to track the human vessels. Their drive signatures appeared from nowhere. "Their acceleration exceeds our projections by 300%. All ships, regroup and target those vessels," Zorth commanded. But the human ships refused to engage in traditional combat. Instead, they executed hit-and-run attacks, striking from unexpected vectors, then disappearing from sensors by dampening their drive signatures. The Kreth's superior weapons couldn't hit what they couldn't track consistently. Near Earth, the Prometheus arrived with Ambassador Pello. As Hansol rushed the ambassador to the defense headquarters, Earth launched its secret weapon. Dozens of small, automated drones equipped with minimal antimatter drives. Too small to carry significant weapons, their purpose was purely defensive, to confuse and distract the Kreth targeting systems. The Battle of Luna, as it would later be known, lasted just over 4 hours. When it ended, 3 Kreth warships had been disabled, 1 destroyed when its own weapons system overloaded, and the remainder had retreated to regroup beyond the moon's orbit. In Admiral Lee's command center, the mood was cautiously optimistic. "They underestimated us," Commander Ba said. "But they won't make that mistake twice." Ambassador Pello, who had been providing crucial information about Kreth battle tactics, looked troubled. "The Kreth Dominion has never been defeated in a first engagement. This will enrage them. They will return with a larger fleet." Admiral Lee's expression hardened. "Then we need to take the fight to them before they can regroup." "Captain Song, is the Valkyrie ready for another deployment?" Mireille's voice came over the communication system. "Yes, Admiral. And we've learned much about their weaknesses." "Good, because we're taking the offensive." Lee turned to a holographic display showing the solar system. "The Kreth expect us to fortify Earth. Instead, we'll strike at their staging area near Jupiter." Pello looked alarmed. "Admiral, are you declaring war on the Confederation?" "No, Ambassador. We're defending ourselves against an unprovoked attack." Lee's eyes narrowed, and showing the galaxy that humanity won't be easily contained. As Earth prepared its counterattack, no one realized that this small engagement would change the galactic balance of power forever. The age of human expansion among the stars had begun, propelled by Dr. Kim's antimatter drives and humanity's unexpected talent for adapting to warfare in space. The crisis had only just begun. The Kreth never saw the human counterattack coming. 6 Earth vessels, led by the UES Valkyrie, slipped through the space between Mars and Jupiter with their antimatter drives in stealth mode. The alien staging area, 3 massive supply ships and a repair station orbiting Jupiter's moon Callisto had minimal defenses. The Kreth believed themselves too far from Earth to be threatened. Captain Meirisong stood on the Valkyrie's bridge, watching the enemy installation grow larger on the view screen. All ships maintain emission silence. Weapon systems ready but cold until my mark. Her tactical officer, Lieutenant Do-hyun Kim, monitored the sensor readings. No indications they've detected us, Captain. Their patrol vessels are on the far side of Callisto. Mireille nodded. Perfect. All ships, execute attack pattern echo on my mark. She paused, then said firmly, Mark. The 6 human ships powered up their antimatter drives simultaneously and accelerated toward the Kreth installation. By the time alarms sounded on the Kreth vessels, the human attack force had already launched their first salvo of missiles. The results were devastating. 2 supply ships exploded in massive fireballs as their antimatter storage containment failed. The repair station, crippled by precision strikes to its power core, began tumbling out of orbit. The few Kreth defenders scrambled to respond, but found themselves outmaneuvered by the smaller, faster human vessels. Back on Earth, Admiral Suho Lee watched the battle telemetry with grim satisfaction. Operation Firefly's first phase is complete. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2 was far more ambitious. While the Kreth were distracted by the attack on their Jupiter outpost, 3 long-range human ships, the Pathfinder, the Discovery, and the Pioneer, were already accelerating out of the solar system, their trajectories calculated to avoid known Confederation monitoring stations. Their mission: establish hidden human outposts in neighboring star systems before the Confederation could organize a proper response. Each ship carried construction modules, defense systems, and Dr. Ji-woo Kim's latest antimatter reactor designs. In the Confederation capital, an emergency council session had been called. Ambassador Pello stood before the assembled representatives of 27 spacefaring civilizations, many appearing as holographic projections from distant worlds. The human response was defensive and proportionate, Pello argued. The Kreth attacked without council authorization. Their containment operation was illegal under our own laws. The Kreth representative, a scared veteran named Vorax, snarled in response. The humans represent an existential threat. Their antimatter technology violates natural technological progression. They should have been contained immediately. The council chamber erupted in shouted arguments and counterarguments. The High Counselor, an ancient member of the founding Azaran species, finally restored order by activating a sonic dampening field. This debate is pointless without current intelligence, the High Counselor stated. What is the current status of the human fleet? The Confederation's chief intelligence analyst stepped forward. That's the concerning part, High Counselor. We don't know. A murmur of surprise ran through the chamber. Explain, demanded the High Counselor. Human antimatter drives produce almost no detectable emissions when in what they call stealth mode. Our standard detection grid is designed to monitor the massive energy signatures of our own antimatter technology. Human ships simply disappear from our sensors when they choose to. The chamber fell silent as the implications became clear. Are you saying, the Azaran representative asked slowly, that human ships could be anywhere in Confederation space, and we wouldn't know? That is correct, the analyst confirmed. We've lost track of at least 5 human vessels that left their solar system 3 days ago. Their probable range now extends to any of 12 nearby star systems. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Confederation. Emergency defense protocols were activated across dozens of worlds. Patrol fleets scrambled to protect key installations, but the vastness of space made complete coverage impossible. For the first time in centuries, the Confederation faced an adversary they couldn't track. Meanwhile, the UES Pathfinder reached its destination, a resource-rich system 18 light-years from Earth. Captain Taho Ryu ordered his crew to begin construction of Outpost Alpha on the 3rd moon of a gas giant. Keep emissions to absolute minimum, he instructed. We don't want any unexpected visitors. His engineering chief, Sung-Min Park, reviewed the construction plans. We can have the antimatter production facility operational within 2 weeks. The defensive grid will take longer. Tai-Ho nodded. Defense is our priority. The Confederation will be searching for us. Similar scenes played out in other star systems, as human ships established footholds far beyond what the Confederation believed possible. Admiral Lee's strategy, called Operation Firefly, was working perfectly. By the time the Confederation located one outpost, 3 more would be operational. Dr. Ji-Woo Kim had accompanied the Pathfinder team to oversee the installation of her latest antimatter reactor design. As she worked in the outpost's engineering bay, she reflected on how quickly humanity had adapted to the crisis. 6 months ago, we were celebrating our first antimatter-powered flight to Mars, she said to Sung-Min. Now we're building bases around other stars. Sung-Min nodded as he calibrated a containment field. Necessity drives innovation. The Kreth gave us no choice but to expand quickly. I wonder if they regret attacking us now, Ji-Woo mused. Back in Earth's solar system, the answer to her question was becoming clear. The combined Confederation peacekeeping fleet, led by non-Kreth species, had arrived to negotiate. Their approach was cautious, broadcasting peace signals continuously. Admiral Lee met with the Confederation representatives aboard a neutral station positioned between Earth and lunar orbit. The Azoran diplomat, named Tellus, spoke with careful respect. The Confederation Council wishes to formally apologize for the unauthorized Kreth aggression, Tellus began. We seek peaceful resolution and mutual understanding. Lee's expression revealed nothing. We appreciate the sentiment. However, the situation has evolved beyond simple apologies. Tellus tilted his elongated head. Meaning humanity is no longer confined to this solar system, Lee replied. We have established multiple outposts in what you consider Confederation space. Consider them insurance against future containment operations. The Azoran diplomat looked shocked. That's impossible. The nearest suitable systems are dozens of light years away. Lee allowed himself a small smile. Perhaps you should update your understanding of our capabilities. As if to emphasize his point, a communication came through at that moment. It was Captain Ryu of the Pathfinder, reporting the successful activation of Outpost Alpha's antimatter production facility. The message had traveled 18 light-years in seconds, using a new quantum communication system developed by Dr. Kim's team. The Confederation's greatest fear had been realized. Humanity wasn't just defending its homeworld. It was expanding throughout the galaxy, using technology the Confederation couldn't track or counter effectively. The balance of power was shifting. The revelation of humanity's true capabilities would force a new relationship between Earth and the stars. 5 years after first contact, the Grand Confederation Council Hall buzzed with activity. Representatives from 28 spacefaring civilizations gathered for the historic session. The newest member world, Earth, had been granted a permanent seat at the central table, a privilege usually reserved for founding species. Dr. Ji-Woo Kim walked slowly through the massive chamber, still somewhat awed by its scale. The domed ceiling arched hundreds of meters overhead, depicting the spiral arms of the galaxy in glowing relief. She wore the formal blue uniform of the newly established Interspecies Technology Exchange, the silver Earth emblem gleaming on her collar. Dr. Kim, called a familiar voice. Ambassador Pello approached, his blue skin now marked with the pale stripes of advancing age. It's good to see you again. Ambassador, she replied with a bow. Or should I say High Counselor now? Pello made a modest gesture. The title matters less than the work. And speaking of work, your presentation today has generated considerable excitement. Ji-Woo nodded. In just 5 years, her team had pushed antimatter technology far beyond even her original breakthrough. The latest designs promise to revolutionize not just propulsion, but energy production across the galaxy. I hope the Kreth representatives will be more receptive this time, she said quietly. Pello's expression grew serious. They have little choice. Their position has diminished considerably. This was an understatement. The failed containment operation against Earth had cost the Kreth Dominion dearly. Their military prestige, built over centuries, had been shattered by defeats to what they had dismissed as a primitive species. More damaging still, several client worlds had shifted their allegiances once humanity demonstrated the ability to establish outposts throughout Confederation space undetected. The council session began with traditional formalities. The High Speaker, an ancient Azaran, called for the day's first presentation. The council recognizes Dr. Ji-Woo Kim of Earth, director of the Interspecies Technology Exchange, the High Speaker announced. Ji-Woo took her place at the central podium. Around her, representatives from dozens of worlds watched with intense interest. Even the Kreth delegation, smaller than in previous years, paid close attention. Honored representatives, Ji-Woo began. 5 years ago, Earth developed a new approach to antimatter containment. Today, I am pleased to announce that through collaboration with scientists from 12 Confederation species, we have achieved the next breakthrough. She activated the holographic display. A complex energy matrix appeared above the council floor, rotating slowly to show its internal structure. This is the 4th-generation antimatter reactor. It produces 300% more energy than previous designs, while reducing radiation signatures by 85%. Most importantly, the construction materials are commonly available on most habitable worlds. A murmur ran through the chamber. The implications were enormous. Energy production had always been the limiting factor in galactic development. Colonies on resource-poor worlds struggled to maintain even basic infrastructure. This technology could change everything. The Azaran representative spoke first. Dr. Kim, your species has shared this technology freely, despite its obvious strategic value. Why? Ji-Woo smiled slightly. Because isolation leads to conflict. Earth learned that lesson quickly. We believe collective advancement benefits everyone. She didn't mention that Earth had kept certain military applications of the technology in reserve. Admiral Han-Sol Park, promoted after the crisis and now commander of humanity's deep space fleet, had insisted on maintaining that edge. Just in case. Speaking of Han-Sol, Ji-Woo spotted him entering the chamber with an alien she recognized as the commander of the Joint Confederation Earth Patrol Fleet. The first such integrated command structure in Confederation history had been his initiative. After the presentation, the Council moved to approve the galaxy-wide implementation of the new reactor design. The vote was nearly unanimous, with only the Kreth abstaining rather than opposing, a significant shift from their previous stance. Later, Ji-Woo joined Han-Sol and several other human representatives at a reception in the Council's Western Garden. Artificial gravity had been adjusted to Earth normal for their comfort, a small but meaningful gesture of respect. Quite a change from 5 years ago, Han-Sol said, looking out at the gathered dignitaries. Remember when we were just hoping to survive first contact? Ji-Woo laughed softly. I was more concerned with keeping my antimatter containment field stable. I never imagined it would lead to all this. None of us did, agreed Admiral Suho Lee, who had arrived with the Earth diplomatic delegation. Now in his 60s, Lee had become something of an elder statesman, but we adapted quickly. Humans are good at that, observed Ambassador Pelo, joining their conversation. It's why many feared you initially. Few species can change direction so rapidly. Han-Sol nodded. We had good reasons to change. The Kreth gave us plenty of motivation. And yet you didn't destroy them when you had the chance, Pelo noted. After Operation Firefly succeeded, your outposts surrounded several key Kreth worlds. You could have demanded their surrender. That would have just created another enemy. Suho said, we wanted partners, not subjects. This philosophy had shaped Earth's approach to galactic politics. Rather than establishing the competing power block, humans had worked to reform the Confederation from within. The technology exchange was just one example, creating interdependence rather than dominance. As the reception continued, Ji Wu slipped away to a quieter corner of the garden. A young breviary scientist who had been working with her team approached hesitantly. "Dr. Kim, may I ask you something?" the young alien asked. "Something personal." "Of course," Ji Wu replied. "When you developed the first antimatter containment system, did you know how it would change the galaxy?" Ji Wu smiled. "Not at all. I was solving a theoretical problem that interested me. The applications came later. But weren't you afraid of the consequences? Your discovery could have led to war." "Any discovery can be used for good or ill," Ji Wu said thoughtfully. "The key is to ensure the beneficial uses outweigh the harmful ones." Across the garden, Hansol was deep in conversation with military representatives from 3 different species. Their joint fleet exercises had recently proven the effectiveness of human tactical innovations combined with Confederation technology. What had begun as an uneasy alliance was evolving into genuine cooperation. Su Holi, watching this interaction, felt a sense of pride. Humanity had not just survived first contact, it had thrived. Earth ships now traveled freely throughout Confederation space. Human colonies were being established on suitable worlds with full Confederation approval, and Earth's technological contributions had earned respect even from former adversaries. The galaxy had indeed learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humanity's capacity for innovation. But humans had learned equally valuable lessons about cooperation and restraint. The antimatter revolution had transformed not just galactic civilization, but humanity's place within it. As the twin suns of the Confederation capital world set beyond the garden's transparent dome, representatives of 28 species raised glasses in a toast to peace and prosperity. The new order had begun, built on understanding rather than fear, cooperation rather than dominance. And somewhere in the vast reaches of space, the next generation of human explorers were already pushing further into the unknown, their antimatter drives carrying them to stars no Confederation species had yet reached. The end.